أيضا بالشاب الفرنسي بيير لوكورف. مستر بيير أهلا وسهلا بك.
شكرا.
طبعا إيفا أنت تتحدثين القليل العربية, so we will ask you English in English all the question like Mr. Pierre, and Mr. Muhammad Othman, he will help me to translate all your answers. First of all, I will start from you. I will ask you first question. This is your fourth time visit to Aleppo. Do you not think it is privileged to be here? What are you here for? وأنت كتير خطر يعني. It's so dangerous. Yes.
It is dangerous, but it's dangerous every day for the people of Aleppo. And for me to come on a short visit, there is the risk of being hit by one of the terrorists' mortars or gas canisters or explosive bullets. However, I think it's very important to hear the voices of the people of Aleppo. And at this time, particularly when there have been humanitarian corridors opened, in order to enable those who wish to leave areas occupied by terrorist factions, it's very important that reporters, Syrian reporters and non-Syrian reporters, witness what in fact happens when the Syrian Arab Army opens the corridors, stands by with ambulances and buses to either enable people to stay in Aleppo or to take them safely to areas which have been agreed upon. And so in fact, on my last visit, I had the opportunity to visit both Bustan al-Qasr and Mabar Castello. And in fact, at Mabar Castello, what we saw was the buses were ready, the Syrian Arab Army was ready, there was aid ready, there were ambulances ready, and the terrorist factions within the occupied areas did not allow people out, and instead they fired mortars on the crossing.
In fact, when I arrived in Syria, I didn't have any idea about what I will find, because I followed the war like for 4 years, 5 years from France, from different countries. And when I arrived in Syria, I have been really, really surprised to discover finally what I discovered about the country, about the situation. So finally I decided to stay, especially to work on collecting stories of people and trying to transmit the reality of what's happening in Syria, and especially in Aleppo.
Okay, you finished for
Yes.
first question. Okay. I will سأنتقل لمستر بيير. Mr. Pierre, first question for you. Being not an activist, but a French citizen, as you have already told us that you have been here for 9 months. So what are you here for?
So it was really important for me when I discovered the situation of the people, what they're living every day because of the terrorist attack, to try to do a little something to show the world what is really happening by trying to collect the stories of the families, of the youth, of the people who live this war for years now, and to try to empower their voice, to try to sensibilize the world about the reality, which is mostly forgotten. So I decided among of that activity to really collect the stories and to try to show the world what's happening, to give a voice again to the people who live there. We built programs especially for cultural activities and especially first aid program to teach the youth how to save lives, because nobody really know how to react here. Several times I have been in the middle of attacks and nobody came to help me when people sometimes get leg off or arm off, just because they didn't know what to do. So we're trying to help the youth to get self-confidence back, to reconstruct themselves, to save time, to save blood, and to save blood, to save time.
There's 2 reasons for having visited the Aleppo Medical Association and also visiting several hospitals. One prime reason is the number of media lies about Aleppo, about Syria and the Russian forces in Syria. And these media lies involve things like saying there are only a few doctors left in Aleppo, in which they mean, of course, only the eastern areas of Aleppo occupied by terrorist groups. and also many lies manufactured and recycled again and again, saying that the Syrian forces or the Russian forces have hit hospitals and destroyed them. Now, by going to the Aleppo Medical Association, I learned that no, there aren't a last doctor in Aleppo. There's 4,160 registered and active doctors in Aleppo. And of these, there are 800 specialists. So these are facts that the corporate, the Western media, if they truly cared to know what's happening in Aleppo, they would talk with the Aleppo Medical Association and they would learn that there are doctors working 24/7 around the clock to save Syrian lives. The reasons for going to the hospitals, also to visit hospitals which have been hit or destroyed, like the Dabit Hospital, a maternity hospital, and also to see the injured. So then the other point about visiting hospitals to see the injured is that, again, with regard to media, they only talk about these manufactured images of people or children that may or may not have been injured. But in fact, in greater government-secured Aleppo, in the over 1.5 million people of Aleppo, on a daily basis, you're subject to shelling by terrorists. So by going to the hospital, I've seen, horrific injuries, amputated legs, people in critical condition who eventually die. And these are people that have names, that have families, and who are being injured or killed by terrorist factions, which the West continues to call moderates, like Nuruddin al-Zinki or Ahrar al-Sham. By visiting and by getting their stories and transmitting their stories outside, I hope to give Aleppo a more human face, to let people outside who might just genuinely be confused to understand, in fact, really there's a huge amount of suffering happening in Aleppo, and we need to actually look at what's happening in Aleppo and consider who's backing these terrorists that are sending the weapons and the missiles onto Aleppo.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Pierre, after بعدين بناخذ الفاصل. Second question for you, what reaction does the West give when you tell them what you have lived through in Aleppo?
At least they are surprised. They are really surprised. Since I arrived there in Syria as a French citizen, a neutral humanitarian, since I arrived building these activities with my own money, nobody really, everybody was surprised, first of all, to see the reality we shared through the stories of the people, of the families. I believe that people from Aleppo have been living these last years like ghosts. Like everybody knew about the East Aleppo, but nobody knew about the people who live there. More than 1 million people living as ghosts. Hundreds of thousands of people who continue to live every day, continue to open their shop, continue to go to school, continue to try to live, even if the world totally forgot them. And when I shared the stories and we start to work with youth, with people, and we start to share what's really happening, people were confused, really confused, but they start step by step to understand a little bit better the situation, but it's still difficult. But people start to realize that there is life here, and it's not the reality they used to hear, because the people are living here, they die from gas bottle full of shrapnel, they die from gas canister in rocket, they die from rocket, from explosive bullets every day, every day, every day, every day.
Mm-hmm. This is Bartlett. We were talking about your visits. Have you documented anything about that?
Absolutely, yes. I have many photographs, videos. I'm a freelance journalist. I contribute sometimes to Russia Today, to various online but independent sites in which people are really looking for accurate or different information on Aleppo, on Syria. So, I mean, I've done photo essays about visits to Aleppo and to Nubal and Zahra. And it's interesting, for example, that visit to Nubal and Zahra, the outskirts of Aleppo are littered with the spent gas canister bombs. So, you know, it's a very vivid example of what people all over Aleppo are living under the rain of gas canister bombs and mortars, and also to be able to speak to people either in Nubal or in Aleppo that have lived under periods of siege. Because again, when Western media talks about Aleppo, they speak of eastern areas of Aleppo and they claim it's under siege, but they never ever address the siege that the people of Aleppo have been under for years at various times by terrorist factions. So for example, speaking with people here, I learned about, you know, the electricity cuts. In fact, that there's no electricity period, and that people are existing.
Like كفرية والفوعة.
بالضبط, yes. And, you know, people are living without access to water. You have to dig wells. You have to buy electricity from generators. And I think that this is absolutely something most people outside of Syria are not aware of. As well, you know, I think it's important to stress, as Pierre has been doing, that while there's so much tragedy that really comes from, you know, these terrorists that are supported by the West, there's life in Aleppo. Aleppo is not a wasteland. Aleppo is full of life and people, you know, like Pierre said, getting up every day, studying, being professionals, loving, getting married. And at the same time, every moment they risk being killed by one of these terrorist gas canister bombs. So yeah, I have documented it, and I've been on, you know, some well-received shows in America, radio talk shows, Russia Today, America. And I've gotten very positive feedback because people are now, they're getting more critical about their media. They unfortunately maybe cannot understand Arabic, but they want to. They want to know what's really happening.
Finished?
Finished.
Okay. Mr. Le Corf, third question for you. Most of Western countries have been claiming that the armed men fighting in Aleppo are rebels. According to your direct observation, can you tell us about that? Okay.
Since I arrived in Aleppo, I have been working very hard to try to help families and youth, and I spend a lot of time in the front lines, and I never seen anything else that black flag, only black flag. Everywhere I can go, only black flag. And I saw so many people dying here, really too many people. And whatever the shell are, they only fall on civilians. There is no army where that fall. Only the civilians are dying. Every time it's children, every time it's families. Sometimes, even once through Midan, I can hear them singing. And it's only every time Allahu Akbar, Leila, it's all the people who died around me, all the families who died get assassinated. It's not, they died through terrorism, not through rebellion. Let's be honest, it's not easy to talk about this type of subject so emotionally about after seeing so many people really dying and bleeding until they die. But finally, I am here to testimony about what I saw and about what I live, because since I arrived in Aleppo, I feel I am from Aleppo. I love Aleppo, I love Syria. I love the people I am living with. I'm really loving them. And when I see the people dying, when I see the gas bottle coming, when I heard the explosion, I get out and we try to save people who get just the body blowing up. And these people are nobody, they are civilians. Some children going to school, some people going to open their shop, some people trying to just leave. It just makes me crazy when I continue to hear the people outside of Syria who say that it's a revolution, it's people who come to bring democracy, liberty. These people just kill. They kill for free. They kill for free. So about, again, what the Western is saying, lots of media in the Western are lying, are truly lying. And because these people are lying, people are dying.
And Aleppo love you. For you and for Mr. Le Corf كذلك الأمر. I will ask you last question. What message would you give to the whole world right here, right now, in the most dangerous city on the earth. طبعا أقول له ماذا هي الرسالة التي ستوصل لكل العالم من هنا في هذه اللحظة من حلب، من المدينة التي تعد الأخطر على الأرض كما أطلقوا عليها.
I would like to say that people need absolutely to open their hearts, to open their eyes on what's happening, because without doing it, they kill indirectly people here, because they continue to support people who kill for free. I believe today a lot of people have been following this war from a lot of countries. A lot of people finally get a knowledge, a sort of knowledge from the war. But again, I'm telling you that I am here. I have nothing to win except maybe helping as best as I can, or maybe dying. The reality is really different that most of the media are saying. And that's something very important. And if I have to say something else, especially for the Syrians, especially for Aleppo, because a lot of the youth lost their dreams, a lot of the people here lost their dreams, lost, let's say, they feel powerless. I want to tell them to don't give up, because Syria is really stronger than this war, stronger than anything else. I mean, you have to hang on, really.
يقول أنا تبقي لدينا last question for الأمور تمام. أنتقل ب last question for you Miss Eva. I'm so sorry. No. What message would you give to the whole world right here, right now, in the hottest city in the world? ماذا تريدين أن تقولي رسالة من هنا من المدينة الأكثر حرارة في العالم؟
First of all, this is not 2011, this is not 2012. This is almost 2017. There are no moderate rebels. There are no rebels. There are only terrorists of different stripes. So please, if people are really seeking truth, don't fall for the corporate media telling you that there are some good rebels. There are none. They're all here for different ideological reasons, or they're mercenaries recycled from Libya, or they've been duped and they actually want to take amnesty and return to Syria. But do not believe that this is a war against the Syrian president or the government. This is a war against Syria and its people. That's one. Syria is fighting for its survival, and it's winning. And it's thanks to the people of Syria who've been steadfast, and to the Syrian Arab Army and its allies. And just, as an anecdote, when I was in the old city last week, I saw, amidst the destruction where the Syrian army had been fighting terrorists, I saw a small plot of garden that a Syrian soldier had planted. And it just occurred to me, wherever the Syrian army returns to, so too does life.
شكرا جزيلا لكما. Thank you very much. We highly appreciate very single thing you have done. I am also very delighted to have had you in this program, on my program. Thank you very much. Thank you very welcome in Aleppo. حلب ترحب بكم. Thank you very much. هنا حلب. شكرا. هنا حلب.